How's it, everybody? Welcome back to the Nomasburg region. Sanctum Gamer here, and we are starting to get into the fun side of the things that I'd wanted to build in this town that we've been working on for quite a while now. Today we're gonna do a bit of an entertainment area. Well, not entertainment really. This is my chance to put in a couple of things that hopefully will start bringing in a bit more tourism and kind of livening up the whole place a bit. And we're kicking off with an amusement park. Now, since I started this town, I had always wanted to nestle an amusement park right at the edge of the water in the middle of a residential area. I kind of figured the fact that this is a small town, something must have happened at some point during the course of the town's life that such an amusement park would develop along the river. I didn't want it to be separate from the river in the middle of nowhere, but I wanted it really knitted into this whole town, and not just the amusement park. I'm sure I probably did this on the thumbnail, but there's also going to be a circus that we're going to put in here. And the whole aim of this is to have an area of this town that is a bustling spot. So there is a lot happening there. There's going to be a lot of commercial that's taking place here. We've got this amusement park here. We're going to have the circus. So there's a lot that's happening around here. It is a mixture of, I suppose, fun and at the same time not really the place you want to live, but people live there anyway. And that's the sort of vibe that I wanted to go for with this neighborhood that is being developed here. So we're kicking it off with the amusement park. As you arrive and enter the amusement park, you have these simple rides. I think that's a merry-go-round there. We're gonna have a couple of shops and stuff in and around the spot. And the idea is, as you enter, it's the first thing you see, and just before you leave, it's the last thing you see. Encourage visitors to the park to spend a bit more of their money. We've got this big plaza that sits also again right close to the entrance, offering lots of sitting area, lots of chill area. So if you even grab a bite to eat or something, this is like a spot that you can sit. I wanted the front part of this amusement park as well to be sort of opened into the town, and that's why we've got all these parking lots that sits right in front without any real fencing separating the amusement park from the actual roads. But the amusement park itself is closed in. It's completely surrounded with fences all around. I mean, you don't want any Tom, Dick and Harry just walking in. But I'm also continuing this levee or these dikes along the edge of the river. The plan was to always have this along this entire town, but then we have small areas where we break it up, where we've got things like this ferry terminal right up against the river, or any other place that we put any development that goes right up against the water, like the industrial area that we built a couple of episodes back. Now, when I built this, I noticed, if you also noticed, that there isn't a lot of people coming into the amusement park, and I didn't quite understand why. It took me a while to actually figure this out, but it turns out that the main gate that I put down, if you look at the path leading into the main gate, right where it meets the road, it's a semicircle sort of termination. That usually indicates that it doesn't have a road connection, even though it's sitting right up against the road. It turns out that if you take the main gate of the amusement park and you put it at the point where a road ends, so if you look at the way the road is, we've got an avenue that comes in, and then there's a node right where I split the road going to the left and the right. Because it's right at the tip of that node, it doesn't register as a connection. So upon realizing that, I basically cleaned it up. So that's why I'm deleting all of that and creating those one-way areas. And notice that once I did that, the entrance road is no longer that semicircle, but it's actually a flat line, indicating that it's actually got road access. It took me a while to figure that out because I really couldn't understand why the park was there but people were not coming in, and it wasn't making money, it wasn't, what's the word, upgrading and so on. So I did a bit of debugging to actually figure that out. So if you're using Move It and you're moving around your main gates or your side gates or any of those, just make sure that you're not being silly like me, think you're going to terminate the road, use node controller to make the node bigger and then just dump the gate there. It doesn't actually register. So it has to set right up against a road segment in order for it to work. If somebody has got it working right up against a node, I would like to know how how you managed to do it, because it definitely wasn't working for me. But anyway, moving on, I'm building the roads around here where the residential area is going to be. Like I said, it's going to hug this amusement park quite tightly, and the whole idea is to create a space here that isn't the nicest place you would want to live, but at the same time it's also a nice place you would want to live. It's very easy to get to an amusement park, but you can imagine the sort of noise that people that stay around here would have to hear. And on top of it all, we've got all of these big rides on these areas. We've got the Ferris wheel, whatever it's called. We've got the roller coaster. So you can imagine it must be quite noisy here. But I really wanted it still to sit right in the middle of the suburbs, just to essentially have that vibe going, I guess. So yeah, that's the whole aim of this area. And then we're gonna just finish off the main amusement park around the water. Now, these breakwater rocks are again one of my favorites. I thought the ferry terminal sitting right up against the water would be a nice sight. You would come in seeing the water, and as it rotates to the other side, you'll get awesome views of the whole town. Another annoying thing about living in an area like this would be the fact that everybody that's going up and down all of these things will be staring right down into your yard. So I'll imagine that the property value of places around here wouldn't really be the best, but it is what it is. And then at the end here, I thought I'd put a little restaurant type thing and just a couple of trees here to offer a little bit of noise buffer between the actual amusement park and the residential areas, but nothing too big, just a few trees. You can imagine the trees have been planted recently and they're still growing, and that's why they haven't really got to those huge sizes. And then just a small water entrance right here. Maybe there's boat rides or something that people can take to get onto the river and just explore and go for sightseeing and so on. And then from this point on, we're just going to detail out the rest of the amusement park around the roller coaster. I didn't want to do anything too fancy around the around the roller coaster itself, so just placed a couple of dead paths, some overgrown grass underneath it, and I kind of called it a day. And then right on the other side, that's all the residential. What is going on with my mouth today? You know what? It's because it's actually very late. It's like 2 a.m. right now, and I'm rushing to finish. In fact, after all of this, I had edited all of these videos, and I got to the very end where I'm putting together the cinematics, and then I realized that my transition shot was recorded at different FOVs, field of views, so they didn't line up nicely. So now I had to boot up the game again to just try and record. I actually recorded it. I didn't realize it was the FOV. I thought it was the Acme camera settings that I had been playing with that led to things looking odd. So it took a while. I re-recorded it, pulled it into my editing software, realized that they were still misaligned, and then I had to go and figure all of the stuff out. It was kind of sucky. And also, when I finished recording this, I think the last clip was an hour and a half worth of recording, only to realize that my hard drive had run out of space, the recording had stopped, and I wasn't notified. So I had spent all of that time recording for like an hour and a half, and only 20 minutes of footage got captured. So I had to go and delete everything and re-record it again. This is the kind of stuff that happens when you don't pay attention, and it's been happening to me a lot lately, which is not cool. I need to pay more attention. Anyways, back to the video at hand. So we've got all of the residential spaces in. We've got this levee or this dike also in place, again going all the way around. This road that's terminating towards the left here, I'm thinking of putting it under this avenue that's crossing the river and going to the other side, but I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do that yet. So I thought I would leave it there, and then in a live stream we'll decide whether or not that will actually look cool enough to do, or if it's just overkill for a town this size. So yeah, in the live stream, hopefully tomorrow, we will tackle that. And yeah, we've got a little... I was caught in two minds for a moment there on what to talk about. Anyway, but we've got a bit of a... This is probably the most chaotic recording I have ever done. It's because I'm tired. I actually don't know what to do. I didn't prepare for this commentary, so I am completely winging it. And I don't know, my brain and my mouth are not wanting to line up for whatever reason. But to terminate off this residential area, we've got a small petrol station just here, and the reason why I've got this petrol station over here is that just across the road is where the circus is going to be. So I figured if we're gonna have a lot of traffic coming in and out here, some big corporation came at some point and bought out a piece of land here, and in a couple of years a gas station arose. So the residents here would not be completely mad about having a place to easily fill up, but you know, having a petrol station sit in the middle of the residential area, I think it's also not the best. But this is one of the things that I'm trying to capture as well in this town, is not a perfectly designed town, right? Not a place that is your ideal, most serene place that you want to live, but to capture what actually happens in reality, which is that you don't always get the best development, especially when development happens organically in the absence of planning. You often find things happening or things being built in areas that you just look at it and think, why in the world was this here? And so I'm trying to mix up all of that, and this specific town and this area is capturing that exact vibe, the chaotic mix of the commercials, entertainment, and all of that all in one spot. So over here, I thought I would put a little bus station, bus and what's this, and tram hub. And I plan on connecting this to quite a few areas. So I've got 3 stop points. The one is going to be a route that runs through town. So I set that up off camera just so that I can have a couple of buses run, but we'll do that a bit properly later on. I'm going to have another route that originates from here and goes all the way to Charlestown. And then one more that will probably start from here and go to either the university or the airport once we build it. So I'm not sure yet which one of those destinations it will be, but this is going to be a point where we connect the buses up to the greater region. And then we have the tram stop that will also be here, and the tram stop is where anybody who arrives will jump onto the tram and then use that to go in between the actual town. So the tram will connect to different areas. Once we set up the bus routes around the town, we'll have places where we have tram and bus exchange points, just to make that sort of transportation hopefully a bit easier. And then from this point on, we're gonna develop this entire area into a massive commercial spot. I always had the vision that around this area in the middle of the town, we're going to have massive commercial, but it's also going to be surrounded immediately by residential areas. So I didn't want to have too big a transition zone where we have places of gentrification, apartments sprouting up and so on. I actually wanted the commercial areas to be hugging the low density residential areas, like right up close. And so you're gonna see that as we develop this place, we're gonna very quickly just transition from a commercial into residential, into entertainment, and so on. And I think that really captures a a town where development just happened, right? There was no upfront planning of sorts. The whole town just grew organically. And because this is meant to be a very, very busy spot, you're going to see a lot of traffic on these roads. I'm going to convert this asymmetrical road on the right into a four lane one. I think it's from the network extensions, just to allow traffic to flow a bit better. But overall, I want the traffic to happen. I love how busy this whole area looks in terms of cars in the parking spots, driving up and down, and so on. And then this block here is it's basically a transition zone for this town, where we move from commercial into low density residential. But it's nothing too major, right? It's, again, the houses hugging right up against all of these commercial spots that are here. And then I'm placing a whole lot of parking in and around these big stores, just to make sure that all these cars, the more cars you see parked around, the busier a place looks. And then I also put a lot of these cafe assets down, the ones that you see here that are this green umbrella things. That also draws in a whole lot of people, so that's why I tend to use them around here a lot. And then at this point over here as well, I realized that I've never used the post office assets, so I thought I'll place down some post office assets here. And then of course all these blue cars just started firing out. This is the first time I've ever used a post office, so whether or not it's actually going to do anything, I have no idea. I just plonked the buildings down and hoped that something will happen. And then I've got a whole lot of footpaths as well, connecting all the different areas. So coming from this avenue, you can walk all the way across to the commercial spots right up at the top. At some point, once we do all the bus routes, we're going to connect up all of these spaces so that we have buses coming in between and hooked up with all the tram networks. I think we should be able to carry people up through these whole areas quite nicely. And then on this side now, we start the residential areas. Again, if you see, every time where I end the road, I try and put a footpath there just to give pedestrians easy access in and out of all of these areas. So we plugged out all of these houses, and then to protect them at least a little bit from all of the noise that's happening in and around, we're gonna put down a whole bunch of trees just to create a sort of buffer, at least for a little bit of the noise dampening that will inevitably be emanating from all of this that's happening all around you. You can imagine all these trucks driving up and down, how noisy all of this area will be. But again, I think that is representative of real life. This thing happens in small towns. There isn't a massive separation of residences from the main core of the town. So I think this captures all of this quite nicely. And I will also dirty up the roads a lot. I'm sure you notice I put down all of these dirt decals and these road damage things just to create a bit more life and give places, all the textures and stuff. And then we put this sort of abandoned area down. Again, every pocket that I have that I don't know what to do with, I'm probably going to stick in some kind of an abandoned warehouse and then make it look like there was something happening there at some point. And then lastly, for this video, we're gonna put down the circus. I had wanted to talk about the author of the circus, but I completely forgot. This is something that I used in Little Town. In Little Town, I think I used the blue one, so here I thought I would use the red ones. But I also wanted to keep the circus itself quite compact and small, so just a couple of tents, all located in and around this one area. The whole idea of this space is that it is an empty piece of land that whenever what's the term, mobile entertainment comes to town, they'll probably set up shop around here. They'll clear out the place, they'll set up all the tents and everything they need. They'll run what they need to do for as many days or as many weeks as it's going to run for, and then they will take everything back down and the land will get cleared out again. So for the purposes of this, the circus is what's in town at the moment, and so they've gone ahead and they set up here. So we've got all these trucks, we've got all the like the crates and boxes of all the different things that they've brought in to set up all of this. And once all of this is done, everything gets packed right back into them, right back into their trucks, and then off they go. So that's the whole idea of this area. It is not meant to be a permanent fixture. It's meant to be looked at as an open piece of land that people use for different things. But right at the bottom here, so on the other side of these trees that I'm putting, we're going to have a couple of houses here as well. So again, it's not the most ideal location, but it is a land that is available, and it just so happens that on the other side there are some people who have houses here who either refuse to sell or they were just there, and it is what it is. So we're gonna spend the rest of the video just detailing out around here. Again, I'm putting a lot of the tall grass assets because it's an open field that just gets cleared, and they only clear out what they need, build where they want, and then once they leave, there's probably going to be overgrowth that's going to happen all over again. So yeah, that's it for this episode, everybody. I want to say thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you would like to see in future episodes. And as I'm sure you saw the name of the title, this is going to need a name, so probably going to open it up for a backstory on the Discord server. So jump on there if you want to drop it, if you want to drop a story, a name, and hopefully yours is the one that will get chosen. Big thanks to all my patrons as well. Really appreciate the support. And I guess until the next video tomorrow, live stream, hopefully there's no load shedding. And yeah, I hope to catch you all there. Take it easy, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.